Hi, welcome back. We are now joined by Alexandria. Would you like to introduce yourself and your role with John Moores?
Yeah, so I'm Alexandria. I work at John Moores Students' Union as the Vice President Community Wellbeing Officer. So a lot of my role is around like advocating for students and campaigning with the university and also in the city as well, specifically around anything that's wellbeing and community. That's kind of, it's quite a broad role, yeah.
Lovely.
So from your personal experience, Andrea, and your own perspective, what do you think are some of the main stresses of university life?
Yeah, I think definitely there's a lot of pressure with university now, kind of even within first year, trying to figure out what you want to do after university.
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of feeling starts earlier and earlier every year.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have added pressures such as like financial pressures, particularly with like the cost of living crisis. Everything's quite expensive now. The pressure of trying to find housing or accommodation. There's that kind of expectation that you move out of first year accommodation into a house with people you don't really know, and that in itself can cause like issues down the line, particularly if that housing is with a landlord that's not very good, they're not accredited, things like that. So I think housing is a big stressor for students, money issues as well, being able to choose whether to like put on the heating, particularly if they're not in accommodation that includes like all bills, or having to cut down on what they can pay for in terms of like food shops. I think those are quite big stresses, and then trying to juggle like finding part-time work, or even some students find full-time work, and trying to juggle that with a degree is really hard. And also trying to take part in university life as well. Trying to do all that at the same time is quite stressful.
Yes.
And then trying to look after your own mental health on top of all that, it can be,
difficult to juggle everything all at once. So in terms of because obviously you're a part of the JMSU, if a student were to approach the JMSU about a problem that they're having, whether it's, something regarding their mental health, whether it's, stress or anxiety, who or what would be the best place to go to within the JMSU?
Yeah, so typically they either like come into the office, or they'll like ring the phone number that's like on the website. That's how people usually get into contact with us first. And then depending on what the issue is, say if it's like an academic issue, we have our own advice service, which is like confidential and separate to the university. So students can be supported via that way, or if it's like a wellbeing concern, depending on, again, the situation and circumstance. We work quite closely with the student advice and wellbeing team within the university. And if it's something, for example, like an issue they've experienced like on a night out, whilst they were with like a society or sports group, sometimes like officers like myself can get involved and help. So it's kind of depends on that situation. So whether it's like academic, like wellbeing related, and then we always try and like follow up to make sure that that student is getting the relevant and appropriate support.
Thank you.
So as graduation approaches, some students feel quite a lot of pressure, and it can affect their mental health. How do you feel like it affects students' well-being?
Yeah, so I think, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of pressure to know what you want to do after graduation. It's kind of a question that students often get asked, particularly like in their final year, or what do you want to do next? And it can be quite daunting for people if they don't know what they want to do, and then they feel like they have to give an answer, and it might not necessarily be something. So whether it's maybe doing like a panic masters, they might think, oh, that's the right step for them, when it might not be, or trying to go into full-time work when they're not actually too sure of what they want to do, and they might need the masters to be able to go and do that specific sort of work. So I think there's quite a lot of pressure around graduation, particularly when you've always got people constantly asking you like what you want to do next. I've even got like people asking me now that I'm coming to the end of my role, what do I want to do? Like I know that I'm going to be doing a master's, but then I'm not too sure what's going to be after that. So it's quite like an expectation to have everything kind of figured out at such a young age, when like the world's ever changing, interests change and passions.
Have you run any sort of wellbeing initiatives in JMSU, and which ones did you find were the most successful or had the best feedback?
Yeah, so a lot of my role, I tried to focus on like student safety, particularly like women's safety. So something I wanted to campaign on was around like gender-based violence. So I worked with the other two student unions in Liverpool, Liverpool Hope Student Union and also Liverpool Guild of Students, to work together to kind of bring back the Reclaim the Night March, which typically happens around like November time for the elimination of violence against women and girls kind of period. And we worked with like the city council to do this, to kind of just like advocate for students, say that the like external organisations like the council kind of like they need to be doing more. I spoke with the Police and Crime Commissioner to kind of see like what they've been doing to tackle like student safety and things like that. So I think it was a really great like community thing for us to all come together on a single issue. Also being able to work with other JMSU staff on the, like cost of living initiatives, particularly around like giving out supermarket vouchers, working closely with the university's money advice team, trying to promote their service, the Liverpool Student Home Service as well, to kind of ensure students are getting safe and affordable housing. And if they have any issues, they can go to this external service. Kind of just building those relationships with departments within the university and also within the city, other like nighttime providers. We work closely with Cool It, as we've got like a partnership with them. And we had like a welfare tent going every night of freshers, and now recently it's just been like every Wednesday night, because that's been like a big student night to just kind of make sure students are being safe on the night out, and if they need any support they can kind of go there if they need to. And also being able to get therapy dogs onto campus is quite a big thing that I've been working on, because typically when students like reach out for mental health support, they have like sometimes have negative experiences, being told to like have a bath or just go on a walk, and that's not necessarily what everyone wants to do when they're trying to get that support. So my undergraduate dissertation focused on student mental health and kind of alternative ways to support students, and something I looked into was like therapy animals. So I brought that in, and the positive feedback has been really great, and hopefully that will continue.
That's great. That's really important work.
What advice would you give to a student who's lacking self-confidence, or their well-being might not be the greatest in approach to their career?
Yeah. So that's something like I've personally struggled with, having like confidence in my own abilities, particularly students who may be neurodivergent like myself. I was diagnosed as neurodivergent through university actually, and it can feel quite isolating, not knowing how to access support or even know what support you want. And a lot of that can come with like imposter syndrome, not being confident, as confident as your peers. So I think like a big advice that I would have given myself, maybe like starting this role in particular as well, is just ask for that support if you feel like you need it. Even if you're not sure what support it is, there might be someone who knows kind of what might be best for you, even if you're not too sure yourself at that moment in time. And then, yeah, having those networks. I know a lot of students may not have those networks, but if you're able to reach out for that support in the first place, and then people will be able to help you build those support networks, because I know a lot of students who come to university may not have like family and friends, like a big network of support. So being able to ask for that help to be able to build that is quite a big thing. Like social isolation is quite prominent in the student community. So I think, yeah, just reaching out for support if you need it. And taking it at your own pace and at your own time. Something that I struggled with was like public speaking. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do it, particularly like we have to speak at graduations and stuff. And now I've been able to work on those skills and build my confidence with that. So just taking it at your own pace, not letting anyone like force you to go faster than you need to. Just, yeah.
And are there any specific accomplishments that you're proud of as your time as Vice President for Wellbeing and Community?
Yeah, I'd say probably Reclaim the Night was quite a big one.
That's incredible.
Being able to gather students, like our societies and sports teams got involved, and working with other student unions, which we hadn't really done before. It was kind of very like separated, but being able to like work with students in the city when we're all trying to fight for the same thing.
Do you have any idea of how many people came to that?
I think it was between 100 and 200. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
many
that's a
people
big
to come.
turnout, yeah.
And yeah,
I know from my work in the student advice and wellbeing that, women's safety is such a huge concern, and I just can't thank you enough for, really focusing on that. It's such an important time to be focusing on that, and I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What are your hopes for the future of JMSU? Liverpool John Moores students in terms of mental health and employability services?
Yeah, I think making sure things are student-led, so having student voice, student consultation is really important, particularly, especially if you're trying to make decisions for students, like university now compared to 20, 30 years ago, it's very different. So having student voice, like my student experience will be completely different. I began in COVID and now everything's kind of changed since 2020. So every year, no matter, like, even if you're a student last year, everything's going to be changing year upon year. So you need current student voice to be able to kind of inform like choices and those decisions. In terms of employability as well, the job market has like definitely changed pre-COVID and now. Like students saying that they're struggling to find jobs and they have to like look further afield. So I think just having things like this, like a co-creation and internships and things, are really important to get that student voice, rather than making decisions for students and making assumptions. Being able to include students in those conversations is really important.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Alexandria, for taking time out of your day to come and speak to us. We really appreciate it.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
no
you
worries.
so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all your hard work as well.